Welcome back to Tommy's Gaming Podcast. Today we've got an epic video for you. We are going to go through the best and most iconic PlayStation games to celebrate PlayStation's 30th anniversary. We're going to do 30 games for 30 years. We're going to not mess about. We're going to get straight into the video. Make sure you watch to the end because there will be some absolute classics or some shockers that you won't want to miss. Game number one, Alundra. PlayStation 1 classic for me. Absolutely love this game. Amazing platforms, amazing puzzles, good fun boss fight combat. It was the Zelda that finally reached PlayStation. I don't think this game gets enough love. I think it's an epic game and it deserves more love. Number two, Pro Evolution Soccer 6, now, or PES 6. Now, grew up, played all the International Superstar Soccer Pro Evolution games, then it became just Pro Evolution Soccer. And I think this was the pinnacle of football gaming on console. The couch co-op, and even on the PS2, if you had the slim model, you could play this game online, was incredible. Bit inconsistent the connectivity, but still, this game was incredible and an absolute must play. Everyone remembers like Adriano's Shot Power 99, just a pure, fantastic game. And still to this day, I'd say the most fun I've ever had playing a football game. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is number 3 on the list. Now, this game is up there with what makes a Metroidvania a Metroidvania. Start the game, the classic, death comes along, nicks all your gear, and you're left to build yourself your strength up to eventually find Dracula or fight Richter Belmont. Till you realise Shax, I think, is controlling Richter Belmont. So lots of fun, amazing different levels design, different weapons, power-ups, so much to explore. You think you finished the game and then the castle turns upside down. This game is just epic and it is a lot of fun. And completing that map and squeezing out what is you can get to, I think you can get over 205%, and there's lots of little glitches. Just great game, great fun. Lots just never and lots of replayability. So we love that game. Next on our list, going to cheat here and put 2 games together because I love them both equally. Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2. For me, an absolute classic JRPG, one of the best on the PlayStation 1, one of the best of all time. Really excited for the remasters due on the 6th of March this year. And just some of the most memorable characters I've ever had in video game history. Your Victors, your Flicks, your Odessas, the wars, the joining the Liberation Army, the story of growing, collecting, and recruiting the 108 Stars of Destiny. Just magical. A magical story. One of the best baddies in Suikoden 2, Luca Blight. Cool characters in Suikoden 1, like Emperor Barbarossa, and his evil bit on the side, Wendy. So yeah, just lots and lots of fun to be had. If you haven't played them, March the 6th, jump in. Next, I think this one will be on everyone's list. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Oh my god, what a game. Now, before that, I'd missed Vice City and I'd missed GTA 3. I played Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation 1 and just really kind of thought it was a bit of a muck around game. You know, go to the phone bar, blah, blah, do a mission, play for half an hour, done. Lots of my friends had played Vice City and GTA 3. So I thought maybe it's time I try to give this a real go, and I was immediately hooked. The storytelling, the gangs, the betrayal, all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing, and probably is what made those Grand Theft Auto games are probably what makes open world games the games they are today. Real kind of moving the industry forward, and like in Vice City, which I have played some now. Radio, the soundtrack, everything just hit. What a game. Next, bit left field, but I think from PlayStation, this is an iconic game, particularly the launch of the PlayStation 3, Resistance Fall of Man. I had so much fun playing the campaign in this game, so much fun with online with my friends. I think it was finally feeling like PlayStation had an answer to Halo. But hey, we all know what happened. Not long after, we had the launch of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and then the online shooter space was taken by that game. and that was that. But at the time, absolutely epic, absolutely iconic. Um, Next up, another PS3 classic in my opinion, another one around the launch of the PlayStation 3, and so much fun, amazing co-op gameplay, um, amazing time trials. I think content was added after launch as well. Another game with a great soundtrack. I can still hear Slipknot now. Before I forget, what a tune on Coyote Rage. It is Motorstorm for the PlayStation 3. I mean, for a arcade style racer, I think it took things to a new level in terms of the different terrains, how the vehicles act on different, different. You'd have your big garbage truck for muddy areas, and then you'd have your bikes and your ATVs, and they'll be better on different courses. And there was multiple different routes depending on, and it really felt like okay, there was a vehicle that was slightly better on this course on a certain route, but you could compete no matter what your playing style was. And then the explosion mechanics, time of the burst, just great fun. And one of my friends, we were addicted to Coyote Rage time trial, and we spent days and weeks competing with each other's time trials. Absolutely loved it. Just an all round great game. So yeah, really really big fan of that one. Um, then get it in early. Let's go back to Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5. My word, what an absolute masterpiece of a game. Um, the size and scale of this game, the world, again, the characters, being able to play as three different characters and being completely invested in all three of them. You start off with Franklin and Michael, and then later you meet Trevor, and then wow, Trevor, probably one of the most craziest characters I think I've ever met in video games. When you're playing as him, you're like, you just almost can't believe what you're up to, what you're doing, what you're saying. Some really tough choices to make in that game later on, particularly around Trevor. I won't go into spoilers. But again, everything's so polished. You can do everything. You can literally live your world in the game. And I think we all know what's Grand Theft Auto 6 going to be like. Because if this is the benchmark and we know the size and the scale is bigger, I think next year, if it does launch, wow, we are in for a treat. Next up on the list, the original Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action. What a game! Some of the stuff this game did ahead of its time. We all know Kojima is an absolute genius. Some of the boss fights, having to plug your controller into port 2 to be able to beat Psycho Mantis. Um, the smoking to be able to see like laser wires hiding in a box. The the hiding, the tapping the wall. Ooh, what was that noise? Just so clever. Controls probably a bit janky if we're honest, but the gameplay overall, the story, the creativity, the world, it is just an absolute masterpiece that stands the test of time. And I think people will be talking about this game forever because Kojima's a genius and he has changed the video game industry forever. Just what a game. Absolutely love this game again. The characters, Solid Snake, Meryl, Snake, the Colonel. Wow. Love that. Love that. Um, Next on our list, Final Fantasy VII. We're going the OG. We're going on the PS1. I think I love Remake. I love Rebirth. But there's something about this game that's just so nostalgic. And I think I do love what Remake and Rebirth has done in terms of bringing these characters even more to life. And somehow they're exactly how I imagined them, even though there was no, voice acting back in 1997 when I think the game was launched. Just an amazing game, amazing, massive world to explore. So many secrets, characters, secret characters that you can miss if you don't play the game, like Yuffie and Vincent. Um, it's just so many crazy things happen. Sephiroth, the boss battles at the end with Sephiroth. The chocobo breeding, the green, blue, black, golden chocobos, the Knights of the Round Materia. It's just so much depth. The weapons, emerald, ruby weapon. Wow. Just, I love this game so much. Absolute one of my favourite games of all time. Um, and I wouldn't say this is left field, but I think this game was a real classic on the PlayStation 1. And I think it got a lot of love from a lot of people, and I'm one of them. That's Driver. I think it was a game that was on one of the demo discs, and I think everyone can remember the initial start where you have to do the test and do the slalom around the columns, the pillars, and the burnout, and the handbrake turn, and the 180, and the 360, and all that kind of good stuff. And then just yeah, the gameplay. It's something we never had really had before. in a way, it's almost a Grand Theft Auto light. Looking at like what GTA, you know, 3, Vice City, San Andreas became on the PlayStation 2, but it really kind of that driving, being chased, um, hiding from the cops, smashing up, the survival mode where you go on the grass, just spin around and try and survive a minute. Just a great fun game. Decent story as well. Love that game. Really, really brilliant. Next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Phenomenal game. Amazing soundtrack. Amazing levels. I can still hear Rage Against the Machine and You Got Me Running in a Cyclone. You got me running in a cyclone. I guess I'm in the zone. Still in my head. Still in a bit of competitions in like Marseille, etc. Yeah, just an all-round great game. Good size. I remember, can't remember the name level, but it was like grinding the awning, and as a teenager, I was like, I had no idea what an awning is, so that took me a long, long time. But yeah, love that game. Great game. Classic on the PlayStation 1. Another PlayStation 1 classic, Siphon Filter. Now, again, beautiful game. Remember we started the game with a taser and you could set enemies on fire. Playing it again on the PS classics on the PS5, controls are definitely very janky, but I think ahead at the time, real great stealth game, really rewarded taking things slowly and carefully. Um, and was a very difficult game. So I think I was only probably 12, 13 at the time when Siphon Filter was released, but yeah, very good game. Completed it and enjoyed the espionage and the stealth elements of that game. Next up, Final Fantasy X. For me, this game was an absolute masterpiece and ahead of its time. Before this, the Final Fantasy games we had were all text based, no voice acting. And then when this released on the PlayStation 2, wow, was my head blown. The voice acting was amazing. The cutscenes were incredible. The um the RPG elements and the grid you went round. I can't remember the exact name. Was incredible. Characters like Auron, Yuna, Tidus, great. Uh, what was the guy with the orange hair? I want to say Blaze, but I'm probably making it up. I'm really making it up. Blitzball, the tune on Blitzball. Wow, what a soundtrack. Um, yeah, just a great game. Um, Enough said on that one. Now, a very different game, and I might mention a couple of these, but Guitar Hero. I think this game was incredible, and we'd never seen anything like it. We obviously had many a rhythm game before, like Donkey Kong Drums on like the GameCube, etc. But this rhythm game took rhythm games to the next level. I remember when I first played it, playing songs and being really slow on easy mode to by the end of it, you know, smashing out songs on expert. Whether it was Guitar Hero 3 or World Tour, or maybe even Legends of Rock, but you had the Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames song on expert. It's probably the only song that I've not managed to complete on expert because that was just too hard. That intro, yeah, that was beyond me. But I got pretty good at it. Um, and I love the series. I know I'm cheating by just saying Guitar Hero in general, but I think that's a really iconic game on the PlayStation, um, and something that took the industry forward. Um, and I wish we had a modern rock band or Guitar Hero today because we've had nothing since the PS4. I think we're due one. I think there'll be demand. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments. Um, Another classic from the PlayStation 1, Gran Turismo. Um, Now, I think all racers were very arcadey, and then Gran Turismo came along and tried to say, right, this is the real driving simulator. And of course, it's a PlayStation 1 game. It was still quite arcadey, and we were limited in terms of the level of realism we get. But I think with the car physics, the license tests, the cars, I remember I'd always start with the Mitsubishi FTO or GTO, and then you could whack like a twin turbo, or it was twin turbo, but then you could whack like a stage 4 turbo on it, and suddenly your little Mitsubishi was like 900 horsepower. You could go around the high speed ring and just hog the walls and beat everyone. It was epic. Not to talk about other Gran Turismos, but obviously you had the Escudo Pikes Peak and later, which was insane. Just a really great series and an iconic PlayStation series. Um, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2003. Now, people might say golf, a golf game, making it into your top 30 games, but this game was incredible. The character challenges, trying to beat the made up golfers and the legendary golfers that were in the game, or the actual golfers. The soundtrack was incredible. The gameplay, I think, is one of the earlier ones where it was like fun-driven analog golf play. Just a great game, and I put so many hours in this game. Absolutely loved it. If you haven't played it, just the soundtrack alone, this game was worth it. It's a golf game; it doesn't really age. Um, Now we talked about earlier, but Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 4, or COD 4, Modern Warfare, whatever it was called, confusing myself here. But I think that game took the FPS shooter scene to another level. Um, and this started for a number of years. Me, my friends being obsessed with Call of Duty, obsessed with um, the new games that I was playing World of War. But this game was the thing that got me into these style of games. Very much fell in love with hardcore search and destroy. We played it deeply with my friends. We would do things where we'd have sort of like kind of call it. It wasn't really a LAN party, but we used to take our PS3s and our TVs round to our friend's house, and we'd all sit in the same room playing hardcore search and destroy. And do you know what? We could cheat a little bit because when someone died, and you can press like triangle to spin the camera, we or someone was hiding, they could see around corners and let the other person know um, someone was coming. So we had a lot of fun doing that. It was awesome, uh, and it must have been some people must have been so confused, like what was going on. Mild cheating, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Um, Red Dead Redemption 2. What list wouldn't be complete without this game? Um, Probably the most beautiful game I've ever played. Just jaw-droppingly wowed the world. An incredible story. Um, Arthur's a great character. Um, the just the whole world story, the horses, the different environments, the snow, etc. Just such a well put together and beautiful game, and it's probably one of the few games where the actual NPCs are going about living their normal life and really kind of going about their day to day business. And again, this gets me excited for GTA 6. My only caveat was sometimes things felt a bit too far apart on Red Dead, but that was by design. Um, so I can't really fault it. What a game! Elden Ring. Um, I am a From Software fan. I did play Demon's Soul on the PS5 at launch. That was actually what got me into that. I hadn't really played Souls games before that. Um, but yeah, incredible game, incredible open world. I did struggle at first with this notion of here's a world, go wherever you want. It's not your typical open world RPG where here's your checklist, go to point A, go to point B, go to point C. But wow, the bosses, the parry mechanics, the timing, the level design, the world design, the dungeon design, just the endless exploration. Haven't actually played Shadow of the Erdtree yet. Um, that is on my list. But hey, who everyone's gaming backlog's so big. But wow, what a game! And I can't imagine I'm speaking to many people who haven't played it. Let me know in the comments. Have you not played Elden Ring? You must be among the few these days. Um, what's next on my list? The Witcher 3. Again, probably another game that really moved things forward for that open world RPG, where the world was just open. You could go wherever you wanted. Question marks all over the map with things to decide. Geralt, a very interesting character. Great combat mechanics. Great storytelling. Beautiful world. Not much more to say about Witcher 3, but great game. Great game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I know I talked about the OG one earlier, but I have decided to put Rebirth in my list. I was in an hour, do I want another Final Fantasy VII game? But I put this above Remake purely because I never thought they'd be able to create the open world and join it all up. And bit of a spoiler alert, when you get to the end of the game and you can travel with either the ship,
the seaplane to get to all the different lands, and the whole world is connected, gets me so excited for part 3. And can they do something magical with the high wind and make this world happen? Or the golden chocobo? I don't know. But will we get Knights of the Round? I don't know. But I've never felt more invested in characters, I think, in any game. And of course, some of that is nostalgia. I grew up loving these characters. Cloud, he's a bit meh, but we know that's by design. Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, they're just amazing. And then the side characters that I wasn't expecting to see in this game, but we're still seeing, like Jessie and Biggs and Wedge still play a part in this game. The depth of storytelling and the characters are amazing. You could argue the plot is very confusing and maybe not the best end-to-end story, but the journey and the characters, the combat is improved with the additional things you can do, even though it's built on the original. Yeah, some amazing boss fights. Yeah, fantastic game. It was everything I hoped it would be. So yeah, delighted with that one. Astrobot, what a fantastic game. Off the launch of Astro's Playroom, the kind of PS5 controller demo, this game took platformers on PlayStation to another level. Amazing level design, amazing special abilities, great fluid gameplay, great challenge levels that actually test you. Now we've got the speed run levels. It's just pure enjoyment. I think someone said to me, "Do you like games? Do you like fun? Do you like Astrobot?" And that's my thoughts. Do you agree with that? Is there anyone that doesn't like Astrobot? Let me know. There can't be many. Um, Returnal. Returnal's next on my list. One of the first games I had on my PS5. I don't think it came out at launch, but I don't think it was that long afterwards. March maybe of the 2021. Um, Initially, at first, fans became a little frustrating, but then there's so many layers to it, and once you progress in the game, understand the different weapons you can unlock and the different permanent unlocks and and the risk and reward before taking parasites and how you can cure them and the benefits and the malignant Scythium or what the healing items. So many choices, so many layers, and the combat as well. The sound, the rain, the controller, the vibration. Using the controller where tapping it is like your normal fire and holding it is your special attack. Stuff that we've not really seen before. Great utilization of the controller. The boss fights, the visuals, the music, the timing, learning the mechanics. Great. Really great game. Tried to platinum it. I've got close to it not too long to go. I think it still has a little bit of even replayability with me now when I've got the itch to do that. But love that game. What a game. What a game. Next on my list. I'm going to cheat a bit here again too and say Destiny as a franchise. This was probably the game on the PlayStation 4 that I spent the most hours on. Got completely addicted with that grind loop. Loved the raids, Vault of Glass, Crota's End. I think whether you worry about whether Destiny has enough endgame content, has enough, I guess, PvP maps, has a compelling enough story. I think what you can't fault is the shooting mechanics, the gameplay. It's such an addictive loop. Um, Great co-op game, solving puzzles with friends. A little bit frustrating when you don't have the right team and finding the right players to hunt it. But I think it's the game I've probably been addicted to the most in terms of one more go, one more go, one more go. Oh shit, it's 3 in the morning. I've got to be up 8 for work. Um, but one more go. Shit, it's 4. I really need to go to bed now. Um, so yeah, fantastic game. I think it's lost its way a bit these days. Maybe it's just not new anymore. Maybe it needs a bit of rejigging, and I'm hoping that they'll do that. I think there's some big plans for next year. Hoping they come off, but we'll have to see what happens. But I think for a co-op PVE game, I know lots of people like Crucible and Trials, but for a co-op PvE game for me, one of my absolute favourites. So yeah, love a bit of Destiny. Um, Silent Hill, back to the PS1, probably the single most eeriest thing I've ever played in my life. Thinking about the fog when it goes dark, when the siren starts, when you know what's coming, the terror, the level design of places like the school, the darkness, the sheer fear this game come up with. Yeah, I think I've never been more terrified of a game, and I think pure for that factor, I think I- the iconic, and I know Silent Hill Two has just been remastered, remade, and I'm definitely gonna look that up when it goes and look that up when it's on sale at a decent price. But yeah, great game. And I loved. I think it's just iconic, and I think it has to be on the list. Um, Last couple of games. Before I get on to the last one, which may surprise you. Um, I've mentioned it already, but Demon's Soul on the PS5, the remake of the original. Um, it got me into Souls games. Um, Again, a bit like Returnal at the start, was frustrated, got nowhere, didn't really understand where I was going, what I was doing, and then it just clicked. Once I realised a reason I'm shit at this game is I've got all the heaviest armor on. I can't roll, I can't move. I'm better off being naked and being able to roll and dodge. Didn't go naked, but I was below 50%, so I still had the good dodge roll. The game changed for me then, and I started to learn the mechanics, the dodge, the I started, getting the souls to level up and enhance my character, and yeah, the boss fights. And what I would say about this game, quite possibly, I know I said Red Dead was the most beautiful world. This might be the most impressive game I've ever seen on the PlayStation, which is kind of comical because it was one of the first games that came out, and I think it was a launch game. Just looks incredible. And I remember it wasn't long after I bought a new TV with my PlayStation 5, and it's one of the few games where I'd stop, pan, and it probably was a little bit because I had those two new things, the TV and the PlayStation, but I'd stop and pan and just be like, wow, this is beautiful. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. What's the most beautiful game you played? Is Demon's Souls up there? Let me know. I can never say it right. I want to say Demon's Souls. It's Demon's Souls, but we're trying our best. And finally, maybe a little bit of a red herring on the list, but I think this is a great game, an iconic PlayStation game, an iconic PlayStation series. Remaster of these games are coming out this week, end of this week, I think, or maybe next week. Um, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. I just think this game, from world, the combat, the the abilities you could learn, the storytelling with Kain, um, as you kind of got more and more powers and skills to solve problems and puzzles, and the impaling mechanic in this game, so satisfying. Um, so absolutely love this game. Um, and there was one more on the list actually. I've forgotten to make sure I do my 30, but I'd forgotten because I'd already mentioned the original Gran Turismo, and that is Gran Turismo 7. I think visually the most impressive looking racing game we've ever seen, and just so much to do on this game compared to GT Sport, which had its sport mode, but the single content was missed with the cafe menus, the licenses, the updates for additional licenses, additional cafe menus, the World Circuit time trials, the sport races, the Manufacturers Cup. This game has so much content. The cars are always increasing. They are keeping it alive. The physics, a few updates which have kind of thrown a few spanners in the works, but I think overall, fantastic game, an iconic PlayStation game, an iconic PlayStation, and like starting from the beginning, the first Gran Turismo set the scene, and it's still being here, a great game in 2024. And this is the actual final one, as I got confused earlier. The final game of PlayStation's most iconic 30 games in its 30 years is God of War 2018. This game has probably the most invested storyline I've ever had. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus, that the conflict, the love, tension, the drama, the epic multi-stage boss battles, the character, the the conversation with through Mimir as we're just walking through the world. Absolutely beautiful, especially with the PS5 patch or the PS4 Pro patch. You know what I'm trying to say. I think just an absolutely amazing game, great storyline, great gameplay, wonderful dynamics, as I've said. So yeah, that's my list. Any surprises? Anything that was shocking that made my list? Any shocking omissions? What would make your top 30? Let me know. And until next time, it's goodbye from Tommy.